Yeah. Hi everyone, Rapthany Tano here, the internet's busiest music nerd, and it's time for a review of this new George Clanton album, Rapaya. Singer, songwriter, producer, multimedia artist, and label head Mr. George Clanton. He's been making music for a long time now, but it's been about 5 years since he really broke out and made a name for himself with the 2018 record Slide, a vapor and chillwave adjacent pop album that was just drowning in euphoric nostalgia, especially 90s nostalgia, which continues to be a deep infatuation point for George, whether he is doing a crossover collab with 311's Nick Hexum, or dropping a new slow-mo, hazy alternative dance single with vintage beat loops and thick, psychedelic, almost shoegazy synth layers. Being a child of the 90s, a lot of the stuff George makes sounds like a distant memory from my past. Given he's just a few years younger than me, I'm sure it feels that way for him too. It's something he's clearly pretty devoted to, so I'm not surprised with this new LP that he's still hanging in roughly the same place stylistically and aesthetically. This time with a trim and punchy track list, as well as some slight improvements on the production end. For one, I think George has gotten better at giving his vocals the shine they deserve. Plus, the synth walls he builds on this record just feel a lot more colorful. Combine that with the heavy use of effects he brings to the table, it leads to some really mountainous and anthemic tunes. Namely the lead single off of this thing, I've Been Young, with its glistening piano chords that are matched with these cycling hip-hop infused pop beats, riding a meditative loop. George fills up the extra space with lots of shiny synth touches, and some boyish lead vocals as well that sound like a shy Michael Jackson or maybe a B-level member of a boy band from the 2000s. That is until he hits us on the chorus with these chorused, expanded, just blaring lead vocals. The instrumental at this point in the track gets massive too. George just continues to have a knack for crafting these gigantic soundgasms. Plus, in this track, we have very relatable lyrics about growing old, but not necessarily growing up. It's a great single, and there's more to be had through the record, like the other single off of this thing, Justify Your Life, which also scratches an ecstatic and nostalgic itch, with a lot of lyrics dealing in life and existentialism. My least favorite single from this thing has to be Vapor King / SUBREAL, mostly because it sounds like two kinda decent, groovy psych dance motifs that maybe if they were worked on could have been developed into full songs, but rather than that, they sort of just do a surprise switch off in between the two of them at the midpoint of the song, and that's just that. It's a two-parter with each respective part sounding somewhat unfinished, though I do like how the vocal play and harmonies in the latter section of the song sound like something off of an Animal Collective record, maybe. Now, I was afraid that since Vapor King is not the most well-developed song in the bunch, that with it being a single, we'd be in for a whole lot of underwritten tracks to follow from here. But no, there are actually other well-focused and groomed bangers throughout the project. Be it the opener, Everything That I Want, where George sings passionately over more endless beat loops about how he has everything that he could need or want, except you. The refrains of no one, no one, no one but you are pretty sticky. Plus on the hook you have this immense rush of synths that is just so damn crushing. It's like a tsunami pummeling a small, sleepy seaside town. It's just genuinely good pop songwriting with great textural play. The tone of the writing changes on the track Punching Down, where George is definitely punching, throwing subs at someone who he says is acting like such a punk that he had to write a song about it. Singing further into the song, Don't You Wish You Were Dead? Music sounds so good that it gets stuck inside you. The vitriol on the track. The music quality flex, though, is real. The hooks do hit, as well as the groovy synth sequences and thick bass. The following You Hold the Key and I Found It goes into even more blissful territory. The pacing on this one is pretty slow. This song is going nowhere fast, really in no rush, and I think that's because this track is more of an attempt by George to come through with more of a chill vibe than than a formal and punchy song. It's not my favorite here, but it is nice while it's on, I suppose. Then the existentialism comes back on this record with a rage on Fuck Up My Life, with its massively distorted lead vocals, punchy break beats. This one's got a serious pulse to it and sees George making peace with his own unhealthy obsessions, hang-ups, and self-destruction in a way. But then we have a bit of a narrative switch on the title track, which sees George wanting more out of life other than maybe just this kind of infatuation with things that have happened in the past. Now, musically and aesthetically speaking, I'll say I don't think this track adds all that much to the record. The chord progression is a little weird. The tune isn't that strong either, nor is it as well structured as a majority of what's here. But still, I think the song does bring something pretty key to the record in terms of concept, at least. And then from here, we have a pretty grand closer with For You I Will, which also features Hatchie, a fellow 90s music nostalgia addict. And while there's not a lot to glean from the track lyrically outside of some deep regret over George feeling dumb, feeling so wrong, and maybe being willing to do anything to make up for it, that sense, so much is clear. The specifics, though, not so much. But at least the instrumental here is the brightest and most enveloping on the entire record. Does give the album a nice finale. And while it is short, I'll say overall, I think this is a pretty sick album. Has a lot of creative overlap with the last solo record George came out with, but with some fine tuning to the songwriting and the instrumentals that I think improve the overall experience and sound, which has got me feeling a light 8 on this one. Transition, have you given this album a listen? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you rate it? You're the best, you're the best. What should I review next? Hit the like if you like. Please subscribe and please don't cry. Hit the bell as well. Over here next to my head is another video you can check out. Hit that up or the link to subscribe to the channel. Anthony Fantano, George Clanton, of Forever.